today we will talk about environmental pollution. Environmental pollution is the presence of environmental pollutants in the environment. So what are the environmental pollutants? They are solids, liquids, or gaseous substances which are present in such concentration and they are injurious to the environment. So environmental pollutant, any solid, liquid, or gaseous substance present in such concentration as may be or tends to be injurious to the environment. Environmental pollution is the presence of these environmental pollutants. Then there are 5 types of pollution which can affect the environment, which are air, land, noise, water, and light. First, with air, chemicals are released into the air through harmful gases, like the harmful gases which are coming out from industries or from the urban slums. So chemicals are released into the air through harmful gases, burning of fuels and other byproducts of modern human life. Polluted air impede breathing and cause many serious diseases in humans and animals to the creatures, so they can affect the creatures negatively. Then land pollution, waste materials produced by humans are left to accumulate on the earth's surface. Many chemicals such as pesticides and fertilizers are absorbed into soil, so these pesticides and fertilizers can cause pollution to the land because they have chemicals. Ingestion of waste can injure or poison animals. Chemicals can also enter the soil and be absorbed by plants or leach into the water supply. So these plants will be polluted. The animals and human beings also will consume these plants. So it will affect all the creatures. Noise and light, they are considered as there are noise and light pollution because they can affect the navigation between animals, the communication between animals and the navigation. So humans produce excessive amounts of loud noise when constructing buildings, so including industrial and vehicle sources. Excessive noise in the environment can interfere with animal communication. It can also harm animals that rely on sound for navigation or hunting. While light, humans produce excessive amounts of artificial light. It can affect the natural cycles of light and darkness in the environment. So artificial light confuse nocturnal animals and animals which hunt at night or rely on the stars for navigation. It also affects the turtles. Animals can be affected negatively because of the light pollution. For example, we have the turtles on Ras Al Had. Light pollution has a serious impact on these turtles, especially during their hatching stage. Normally, baby turtles are born at night, and naturally they are moving toward the brightest natural light source, which is the reflection of the moon on the ocean. So, however, there are a lot of artificial lighting from buildings, streets, and other things. So it confuses them. Also, it misguides them, and this misguidance will lead to their dehydration or even their death before even they reach the water. That's why in Ras Al Had, if you visit Ras Al Had in the hatching season of the turtles, it is prohibited to use a normal light. They will give you a red light. That's why light pollution can misguide baby turtles and even cause their death, which is why places like Ras Al Had use red light to protect them. Water toxins from human and industrial waste are introduced into our water supplies. Water can be a medium for many pathogens. It can cause disease when consumed by humans and animals. So if the water resources get polluted, all the creatures, including humans and animals, will be affected negatively. There are sources of pollutants like aluminium smelters, copper smelters, iron and steel smelters, thermal power plants, cement, petrochemicals, tanneries, oil refinery, pesticides, fertilizer, dyes, pharmaceuticals, chloralkali, pulp paper. There are three types of environmental pollution, which are industrial, air, and water pollution. Air pollution is the pollution caused by contamination of the atmosphere with harmful gases and particles, while water pollution is the contamination of water bodies like rivers, lakes, and oceans by chemicals, waste, and microorganisms. And for industrial pollution, it is the pollution caused by manufacturing and industrial activities. Pollution due to chemical process industries. The primary causes of industrial pollution are using of outdated or old technologies for product manufacturing, pollution control, and various other industrial operation generates large amount of waste. Also, the development of the urban slums or the unplanned industrial sectors without considering their environmental impact. The existence of large number of small-scale industries without proper land use, planning, and environmental regulation results in uncontrolled environmental damage and inefficient resource management. So if we just build random small industries randomly, it will cause uncontrolled damage. Okay. The weak enforcement of pollution control laws for both large and small industries leads to increased environmental pollution and health hazards. When it comes to the industrial pollution concerns, we know that industries produce waste that harms air and water, and we must treat the waste carefully. So, factories release gases which cause air pollution, and factories also release liquid waste which cause the water pollution. So this is urgent because it needs the urgent attention because it will harm animals and human beings. So industrial wastewater varies in their composition because some of the waste contains acids and some of them contains oils, and other portion of the waste contains toxic chemicals. So we cannot use only one treatment method for all of these types of waste. We have to consider the specific characteristic of the waste, then based on that we do the treatment. So effective treatment processes must be tailored to address these variations to ensure proper disposal or reuse. Many treatment practices have followed the approach of mixing the liquid sewage waste and with industrial waste and treating the mixture by conventional methods. Mixing sewage with industrial waste, it is an old method and it causes a lot of problems, like it makes the treatment more harder. Also, it creates more toxic mixtures because when we mix these when we mix these liquid sewage waste with other waste, we are producing toxic gases, or we are just making the process more difficult, the process of treatment. So then we have environmental crisis due to urban and industrial development. These are the 5 factors which cause the environmental crisis. First, large-scale contamination of water and air. Water is being polluted because of the chemicals produced by industries, and air gets polluted because of the smokes and gases. Then deforestation, which means the removal of forests, the removal of trees. So people cut trees to build factories and build buildings. The effect of this is negatively to the environment because it produces more carbon dioxide and more climate problems. Also, it decreases the percentage of oxygen because we will not have trees which produces the oxygen, so the percentage of oxygen will be decreased. Increase in urban slums. The rapid population growth and the poor planning leads unfortunately to poor sanitation and more pollution because there is a quick population growth. So there will be an increase or increment in urban slums. Then generation of huge solid wastes consisting of hazardous material. Industries produce, as we said, toxic solids, chemical waste, which is dangerous if not handled properly. Then water scarcity and groundwater depletion, which occurs due to the overuse of water. So it causes less water. Greenhouse effect. The greenhouse effect is the process by which certain gases like carbon dioxide and other gases like methane, nitrous oxide trap heat from the sun and keep the earth warm. Sunlight enters the earth and is absorbed, then released as heat infrared radiation. Normally, some of this heat escapes into space, but greenhouse gases absorb this sunlight and keep it traps heat. And why it is called greenhouse gases? Because it absorbs infrared radiation from the sun in the form of heat and keep it or trap it in the earth or in the atmosphere. So then it is circulated in the atmosphere and eventually lost to space. So some sunlight that hits earth is reflected back into space while the rest becomes heat because of the greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide, water vapor, methane, nitrous oxide. Greenhouse gases absorb and redirect heat radiated by Earth, insulating it from heat lost to space. That's why we have global warming, and this also causes climate change. So this heat trapping causes changes in the radiative balance of the Earth, the balance between energy received from the sun and emitted from Earth that alter climate and weather patterns at global and regional scales. 7. Ozone layer depletion. It happens in the upper portion of the Earth's atmosphere, in the stratosphere it occurs. So ozone layer is a protective shield, or it is a protective layer. It is located in the stratosphere that absorbs most of the harmful ultraviolet radiation coming from the sun. Also, it plays a crucial role in protecting living organisms on the earth from damage, because this ultraviolet rays causes a lot of problems to the health, to humans' health, like diseases and cancers. So a large amount of harmful radiation reach the Earth's surface, making life unsafe for humans, animals, and plants. And the mission of this layer is to protect the Earth, but because of the human activities, because of the high percentage of carbon dioxide or high concentration of the carbon dioxide, there are holes in the ozone layer. So these holes makes the ultraviolet radiation escapes through them to the earth, which causes the diseases and cancers. Ozone layer depletion. What is the ozone layer? It is a protective shield high up in the sky, which is stratosphere, that absorbs most of the sun's harmful ultraviolet radiation, keeping Earth safe. And the effects of the ozone layer depletion: more UV rays reach the ground, causing increased risk of skin cancer, as we said. And harmful UV rays also damage plants, lower crop yield, harm animals, especially those living in water, because why it is especially causing harm to the living organisms and plants in the water. This question might be asked. So why aquatic animals are most affected by the UV rays? Because they can penetrate water easily and reach organisms living near the surface. Some people think that the water surface will block the UV rays. However, it will not block the UV rays. So the living organisms near the surface will get affected, like a lot of kind of fish, like plankton. These organisms have little protection against radiation and are highly sensitive to UV damage. So since plankton form the base of the aquatic food chain, so if these organisms are died, other fish depend on them. These small organisms are affected by UV rays, the whole food chain is disturbed. So that's why the living organisms and the aquatic animals are the most affected by the UV rays. This picture shows the Earth and its layers. We have stratosphere, where the ozone layer is valid or exists. Then we have troposphere, which is the lowest layer to the Earth and where the weather occurs. Also we have CFC molecules, which are chlorine, fluorine and carbon. The ozone layer contains the ozone molecules, which consist of 3 atoms of oxygen. This ozone molecule reacts with the chlorine atom. It results in giving 1 molecule of oxygen, O2, and chlorine monoxide, which is ClO. We have also CFC molecule, which is chlorine, fluorine, carbon. We have ozone layer that absorbs harmful UV radiation, ozone layer which is present in the stratosphere. That's it. So we have environmental aspect and impact. What is meant by environmental aspect? It is the cause. For example, any element of any organization that can affect the environment. So it is the cause. An element of an organization's activities or products or services that interacts or can interact with the environment. And the environmental impact, it is the effect of this aspect. So environmental impact is any change in the environment, whether adverse or beneficial, whether it affects the environment positively or negatively, resulting from an organization's environmental aspects. For example, emissions of gases cause the air pollution. So these are the examples of environmental aspects, and these are the examples of the effect of these environmental aspects. Then air pollution, it is happening due to the presence of undesirable solid or gaseous particles in the air in quantities, in uncontrolled quantities, so which harm the creatures, the human beings and the environment. Then we have there are 4 sources of air pollution, which are stationary sources. Stationary means it is the opposite of mobile sources. They do not move, stationary, like power plants, industries. It refers to an emission source that does not move, also known as a point source. Mobile sources, like vehicles, cars, trucks, refers to a source that is capable of moving under its own power. Natural sources, they come because of the nature. I mean, refers to air pollution that is not caused by people or their activities. It is naturally occurring. So natural sources like volcanoes, etc. Then area sources, which refers to describe many small sources of air pollution located together. And this is a picture describing the sources of air pollution. Natural sources like lighting, volcanoes, wildfires, forests. Area source of pollution like cities, livestock, fertilizer. Okay, then stationary like industries, power plants, sewage treatment plants. Mobile like vehicles, airplanes, car, trucks, buses, motorcycles. Explaining control measures, we have first effluent control, which is waste control or waste management. How to manage the waste or how to reduce its impact. Factories should have tall chimneys to release pollutants higher up, reducing their impact near the ground. So they build like towers, tall towers to produce these gases far away from the ground. Chimneys mean in Arabic madakhan or madkhana, which releases or produces the harmful gases. Then we have gas flares, which burn off excess gases safely in tall stacks to release them into the air. So in factories and industries, they use this gas flares to produce the gases, the toxic gases, to the air. Industries should be built in locations where pollution effects are minimized, considering the area's topography and wind patterns. So they should study the wind patterns and the ground topography to build their industries, and they should have the proper plan. They should have a proper planning to build these industries to minimize their waste, their effects. Then we have activated carbon filters. Activated carbons act like a sponge. It absorbs all the harmful gases. So filters, they are working like this. Absorb pollutants, reducing toxins released into the air. Biofiltration used bacteria and fungi to dissolve pollutants, but requires large space, making it less feasible for many industries. So in biofiltration method, they use bacteria and fungi to dissolve the pollutants or to remove them naturally, breaking down the pollutants. And it is less feasible for many industries because it requires large space. Mechanical devices are commonly used to control air pollutants. We have cyclone, we have gravity settling chamber, and separators, cyclone separator, fabric filters, electrostatic precipitators, and wet scrubber. First, with the gravity settling chamber, we introduce the gas and dust to the chamber. So in this method we use the gravity force. Then when dust and gas goes inside the chamber, the dust will settle down, will fall down. So then we can control the waste by using this method. Then we have cyclone separator. We remove dust in cyclone separator by the concept of, the idea is using spinning motion like a tornado to catch the waste, to catch the dust, or to remove the dust. So how it works: first, dirty gas enters to the cyclone separators, then it spins very fast, so heavy particles move outward due to the law of motion, the Newton's law of motion, the first Newton's law, which is inertia. It states that an object at rest stays at rest, and an object in motion stays in motion with the same speed and in the same direction unless acted upon by an external force. The upside down cone shape helps collect these particles, and the cleaned gas exists at the top. Then we have fabric filters, which are used like vacuum cleaner. The particulate matter is passed through a porous medium made of woven or filled fabrics. The particulate present in the polluted air are filtered and gets collected in the fabric filters, while the gases are discharged. The raw gas enters from the bottom of the column, then it goes outside. Yeah, it works like the concept of vacuum cleaner. According to electrostatic precipitator, its idea simply using the electric charges to remove dust from gas. So how it works, the dirty gas enters the precipitator, so dust particles get negative charge, then the two plates are having positive charge, so the dust will stick to the plates, so opposite charges attract each other, that's why. Then the dust fell down due to gravity. This is simply the mechanism or the concept of electrostatic precipitator. Then we have wet scrubber, which is the fifth mechanical device. So the concept of it uses the liquid to clean the gas. We have sprinkles here, so the dirty gas will enter to the so a wet scrubber is used to clean air, flue gas, or other gases of various pollutants and dust particles. So the dirty gas, these sprinkles will sprinkle water, so it will clean the gas. So when the water is sprayed, pollutants mix with water, then the clean gas comes out, and the water with the dust will go out also. That's it. Then water pollution. Water becomes dirty and harmful because of the chemicals, sewage, microorganisms, and trash. So all of these contaminates the water bodies like lakes, oceans, ponds, rivers, streams, and other water bodies. Then so we want to treat this waste. Waste is released without proper treatment, so we have to treat it properly. So it occurs when pollutants are directly or indirectly discharged into these water bodies without adequate treatment, degrading water quality and making it unsafe for humans and ecosystem. We have to treat this water. We have two sources of water pollution, which are point sources of pollution and non-point sources of pollution.